Okay, we built a profile earlier. We set up some zones. We turned smart drop limit on 4 of the zones. So let's take a look at another key part of the profiler that's very important to understand, and that's engine timing. If you look at the lower portion of the screen here, this is all dedicated to timing profiles, and so on. Notice that it says smart drop enabled. And again, it's enabled because when we set up the zones, we turned it on over there. Notice also it says lock adjustments. There seems to be a lot of questions about this, of what it actually does. So let's clear that up first of all. Lock adjustments simply means notice that these settings are grayed out. So I don't have access to those and can't accidentally change them. If I turn that off, now I have access to those different areas. That's all it does. It doesn't lock the timing per se on the engine. So let's talk about each one of these. Trigger position is the maximum amount of timing that I want to see in that engine and keep the pistons in it. So in this case, I set it at 30 degrees. Advanced limit is how far do I want my profiler to be able to advance in total degrees. Since I set the trigger position at 30, in this case I set the advanced limit at 30. Static timing, think of that as wherever you have your timing set now. So on our engine we set static timing at 28 degrees. So by setting that at 28 and setting my advanced limit at 30, that leaves me a 2-degree window to advance timing. Now in a blower car, a turbo car, that number is probably going to be bigger, but with a nitrous car we have to be extremely careful about how much timing that we advance. Launch timing, how many degrees do I want to have in the engine at the time we launch? Since my static timing is 28, I just left the launch timing at 28. You can change that if you want to. Retard limit, this is how many degrees of retard, what's the lowest amount of retard or the maximum amount of retard that I want to pull out of the engine. Now since this is a nitrous car and we pull timing for each kit, my window of retard is probably going to be a lot smaller than it is on a blower car or a turbo car. So I set this at 18 degrees. So since my static timing is 28 and my retard limit is 18, we subtract 18 from 28. So that gives us 10-degree window of retard. Now, at certain parts of the run, we're not going to be able to pull 10 degrees out of the timing. By the time I have all the nitrous kits on, it's typically down to about 6 degrees. So I probably don't want to pull more than about 4. However, up until the nitrous kits, all the nitrous kits are on, I can have a little bit bigger window. So in this case, I've allowed myself 10 degrees. I just have to remember when I program the zones, after a certain point in the run, all the kits will be on, all the timing will be pulled out, so my window there is going to be much smaller than it is, let's say, at the first half a second or so into the run. So let's turn that on now that we've got those set. Let's turn that on so we lock those out. To the right of this, we have a window where we plot out our base timing profile, and this was done automatically by my settings that I've set over here on the left. As you notice, it's 28 degrees. The other thing that I've done in this case is I've pulled out an extra degree of timing from 4.6 seconds till the end of the run. So quarter-mile car, we're going to pull out an extra degree of timing just for safety at the top end of the track. So we've got our base timing map down that we just built. However, you'll probably find over time you may have to make some changes to it. You may have to make some minor tweaks here and there. Basically, you'll make some passes, you'll take a look, and maybe there's a certain area where the profiler's continually making corrections, maybe in a 1 second spot or something like that. So you want to try and minimize the number of corrections that it's making. That's kind of the goal. You want to fine tune as you go and get the car where it's following the profile the best you can. So if we want to change this map, for instance, maybe we went to a track and the air's good and maybe we've got plenty of humidity, we don't really feel like we need to take this degree of timing out at 4.6 seconds that we put in here. So I'll take you through how do we make a change to that. And basically the grips down here in the timing area, manipulation of those is the same as it is for the profile that we did up above. So I want to take this area out from 4.6 to 7 and move it back up to my base timing line of 28. So I want to hold down the control key and left click on that first grip, and then I want to hold down the shift key and select the last grip. So now you can see all the grips between those 2 points are highlighted. So I'm going to move this up, and I'm going to move this up here, and then we can get it close if we want to, but again I can use my smooth key up here and click it a few times, and it's going to make that line even straighter. I can kind of smooth it out to exactly where I want it. And then to escape out of this, use the escape key, and we're back to our profile. So again, manipulation of these grips is the same as it is up above in the drive shaft profile. If we want to see what the data is, I can go over here to base timing, right hand click, and show data. And I can do the same thing in the drive shaft profile. So if I want to look at any point in this run, and it's basically every 1/10 of a second or so, I can see what that timing number is. I can close that. So we've created our profile. We've created a based timing. So let's upload our profile, which includes both, to our profiler box. So to do that, I will go up here to Control, and I'm going to select Upload. So a box comes up, it says, what do I want to call this? So we'll call it YLRT1. And basically all you do is select Upload, and you'll see the file transferring across. So it's going to take everything that I have set up in my profile for both the drive shaft profile as well as my timing profile and upload it to the box. And you'll see it complete here in just a second. And it is completed, and that's it. So now if I take a look at my profiler box, I should see the name of that file has uploaded. You'll see it on the touch screen. So I know it's successfully loaded there. So the idea would be to load that, make a run. We come back from a run. We now want to download both the drive shaft data as well as our corrections data. So to do that, we would go up here to download, and it says, do I want to save the current profile? I'll say no in this case. And if I want to download, let's say just the run data, or I want to download the profile settings as well, I have an option there. For this case, we'll do download run data. So it's going to take everything from my past for the run data and download it. There it is. It is completed. So I'll close the box, and as you can see, here's the run up here. I'll change the color. And again, as I did down below in the timing information, I can show data, and it can show me any point in the run what the drive shaft RPM is. So let's change the color of this pass we just downloaded to something you can see maybe a little bit better. So I can change color. We'll make it red so we can see it. And there it is. Down below, it downloaded the correction data. You can see it right here. So these, and this, by the way, doesn't match up. It's a different file than what you would probably see because it doesn't really match the drive shaft RPM curve. But it gives you an idea of what correction data can look like. So everything above the base timing is where it added timing. Everything below is where it did a retard, pulled timing. So before we move on to some other features and functions, one more thing I'd like to point out in the timing profiles is we have a legend window over here where you can stack up any number of runs and so on, just like we can in the drive shaft profile. So this gives you a very nice tool to be able to compare different runs, see trends, things like that, to make your determinations on what kind of adjustments you may make to both your drive shaft profile and to your timing profiles. I want to point out that these videos were done to help give you a good starting point. Be able to get up and start using your profiler system as soon as you can. However, that being said, the documentation is very detailed and there's a lot of things in there that maybe we haven't touched on in the videos. There's even a tip section at the back of the user guide. So again, I would urge you to read the user guide. I know it's a lot of pages, but there's a lot of good information in there as well.